everybody, Movie Fan 2002 here, and we have made it to the end of another year. And let me just say, it felt like it went by really fast. Like, my god. Like, 2025 felt like one of the fastest years of my life, at least for me personally. Okay, maybe there were times where it felt like it was going a little bit slow, but it was just so shocked of how fast the year went. It just felt like one moment we were just starting the year, now here we are at the end of it. I even mentioned about it in my community post at one point. Just like, damn, I'm just as blown away as you are. But of course, considering we are at the end of the year, it means it's of course time to do a bit of a recap of this year's movies. More specifically, my top 15 favorite films of 2025. Yes, like last year, this is going to be a top 15. And these are the movies this year that I personally really enjoyed and be such a highlight of the year in general. Whether they were on the big screen or made straight for streaming. Now, by the way, before I begin, I should let you all know that this list is my personal opinion. So you don't have to agree with my choices. Also, there may be a couple placements that may shock some people. So this top 10 list might be a slight bit controversial. Well, top 15 list, but you get where I'm coming. Either way, this is still going to be a very solid list and we can all have a good time. But before we get to the list, of course I have to give my honorable mentions. And they are as follows. The honorable mentions are Weapons, The Running Man, Novocaine, The Accountant 2, Nobody 2, The Day the Earth Blew Up, Predator Killer of Killers, Ballerina, and Marty Supreme. All really great movies that I really enjoyed. And some of them were close to making on the list, and I will explain about them when I get to them. But they almost just couldn't, in my opinion. So, without further ado, let us begin my top 15 favorite movies of 2025.
Who is the monster and who is the man?
I feel like it was an absolute crime that Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein didn't get a wide release this year, because it truly deserved to have a theatrical release on the big screen compared to just being released as a straight to Netflix release while only getting a limited release in theaters. But oh well, I mean, what you're gonna do? I have to stick with what we got. But anyways, here you are with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and it was a truly amazing feature. Yeah, I will admit it was a slight bit long in some parts that did make the film feel a bit dragging, although it was sort of understandable. But the film really felt more like an adaptation of the original book, and Del Toro just put a lot of great aesthetics into it. We get to see both like the human and monstrous side of both Victor and Frankenstein himself. The cinematography is downright excellent, just as unsurprising from Del Toro. The main performance is really good. I love how the story is told, and it's just such a more fascinating and more haunting portrayal of the story. Yes, the story of Frankenstein is meant to be more haunting, but like other depictions would do it differently. This one feels more accurate to the original book, at least from what I heard. I mean, I never read the original book, but from what I saw, it felt very accurate. And Del Toro really just knows how to do it very well. It's more dark and decrypting, and obviously makes it for one of the greatest Frankenstein stories ever told. Like what he did with Pinocchio a few years prior, he was able to do very well on this one. Okay, yes, I mean, it's a bit unfair to compare those two films, as this film's live action while that movie was stop motion, but either way, it doesn't change the fact that it was still amazing. And even if I didn't enjoy it as much as the previous film, it still doesn't change the fact that this was still an amazing movie and another phenomenal example to add to Del Toro's amazing library.
Hello there, sweet life giving K-pop.
Yeah, I cannot do a top 15 best of the year without including K-pop Demon Hunters on here, and I knew I was gonna get some flack if I didn't put it on the list, but here it is. And for the most part, I'd say that this film is truly great, and honestly gets better and better on each rewatch. And not only does the soundtrack kick so much ass, well, no pun intended, especially towards the end, but it also has a lot of great jokes that still gets me laughing, especially with the facial expressions and that blue tiger. And yeah, it has a great message on fighting your inner demons. So, a cast of really great characters, with one exception, but I'm not going to get into it in this video. That's a story for a different day. And the story was honestly really engaging and very well thought out. That, granted, there are some things I did wish the film did a slight bit better, like, in my opinion, and yeah, I do wish they did kept a couple of the deleted scenes in the final cut of the movie, especially with one certain scene in particular. And yeah, I might have this film ranked a little bit lower due to like a certain moment in the film that does get my grievance, but like I said, I'm not gonna get into it. But like I said, those problems are not as relevant as they once were on my first viewing, because rewatching it, I was able to enjoy the film more and more now knowing what happens. So, and it works very well. Topping it all off with some really phenomenal animation and amazing music, especially towards the end. I mean, come on, Your Idol and what it sounds like are just downright bangers. But then again, I guess Golden's gonna be the big showstopper with the bunch. I mean, again, they do theirs. But either way, K-Pop Demon Hunters is an amazing film, and another great example from Sony Animation that makes it arguably their best non-Spider-Verse film so far. Too bad this had to get a Netflix release though. I mean, seriously, what the heck were they even thinking? And do not get me started on the whole K-pop versus Elio debate thing. I mean, listen, I get it, but like, come on, that's just getting stupid at this point.
If you are a bad guy, but this does not mean you're a bad guy.
The Bad Guys 2 is a great follow-up to the 2022 film, and pretty much another great DreamWorks movie to add to this decade. Seriously, they've been on such a roll with this decade when they got their groove back with, again, the first movie, and that really says a lot. Okay, I mean, sure, they haven't been entirely perfect, but you still get where I'm coming from. The Bad Guys 2 is a freaking awesome feature, and arguably a slight bit better than the first film. Granted, it's more focused on the action than the heist elements this time around, but it still makes for a really exciting feature. Yes, I mean, it did suck this movie had to underperform at the box office because, again, it had to come out the same day as another streaming movie, although this one was like the internet loved to bash on. Not only does it offer so many great action and comedic moments that I came to expect from the first film, but it had the same great characters I know and love, a much better villain compared to the first movie, and it also had a really intense and a really exciting third act that just had me at the edge of my seat, and a lot of funny moments that just got me laughing in the theater. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have that much else to add because you have to watch the movie for yourself just to have a great time with it. And I hope we do get a third movie because I feel really bad for the movies that had to underperform at the box office, because this movie definitely deserved a lot more. But yeah, I had a great time with The Bad Guys 2, although I do need to ask one thing. Why is it that Professor Marmalade looks like Buff Stewie from that one episode of Family Guy? I mean, seriously, what the heck even is that?
Here we go, green flag, boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys!
F1 is a really amazing movie and definitely one of the year's best films. Yes, I know it is a bit short of making the top 10 because the story was a slight bit formulaic. Like, we kind of knew how the story was going to go. And yeah, the film was kind of long in some parts, but it doesn't change the fact that I was really blown away by this movie. Just sure, it was long and it was a little bit predictable, but I was still engaged throughout, and I did want to see like the relationship between our two leads improve as they kept going. The performances was great from everyone in the cast, and of course, the racing scenes were phenomenal. This was pretty much the main reason to watch this film in theaters, as it pretty much had you at the edge of your seat, and it feels like you were just like in the driver's seat. Then again, this is directed by the same guy who did Top Gun Maverick, so whenever a racing scene goes down, it was going to be awesome and had you at the edge of your seat. Not to mention that the score by Hans Zimmer was downright excellent, but that's not surprising considering like he did such a great job with many scores in the past. So yeah, not as good as his previous film, but I still definitely had a great time with F1, and hopefully it can get better as on rewatches. It is that great of a feature.
Back then, the world was divided in two. Vicious predator or meek prey.
Wow, now that is 3 for 3 for Dan Trachtenberg right there, especially with 2 of them coming out this year. But yes, Predator Badlands is such an amazing movie and another great film to add to the Predator franchise. I mean, I'm being dead serious. Ever since Trachtenberg came to this franchise with Prey back in 2022, he pretty much revamped it and brought it back on its feet. And Predator Badlands might be the best film of not only of the 3, but arguably of the whole franchise. Now, granted, that's debatable, but it's up to you guys to decide. But still, though, this is still another great addition to the franchise. By the way, if you're wondering why Killer of Killers isn't on here, it was close, and I really mean it was close. But I will admit, it was more of an anthology film, and it didn't get that much time to develop its characters, but it was still a great movie nonetheless. But to be honest, I do think this one was a slight bit better because we do get more time to know these characters, especially that it only focused on a few of them. So it did make sense for why this movie got a theatrical release. And even though it's rated PG-13, the movie doesn't shy away from all of its intense action. So it's not like it was toned down. The only reason why it was rated PG-13 is because, well, there was no actual human blood in this movie. Those humans in the film are basically just cybernetic droids. I do love how it was played out, and it was definitely intense. I had me at the edge of my seat. The characters were engaging, and it was just such a really intense movie. Considering how well it did, I'm so happy that the Predator franchise has not only been revamped, but is also pretty much being introduced for a new generation. And I think that's pretty awesome. Not to mention that it actually was able to execute the concept of a Predator being the main protagonist of a movie very well, where you actually sort of get where they're coming from. Don't want to get too into it because obviously you should see the movie for yourself, but I was just so invested throughout, and it was just downright engaging. Not to mention that that it just leaves you wanting more, especially once you reach the end. So yeah, Predator Badlands is definitely an amazing film, and truly one of the year's best in my opinion.
Who hired this crew? This is undoubtedly the seediest bunch of cutthroats, villains, and scoundrels I have ever seen, so who hired them?
Thunderbolts is an amazing film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I already talked about this movie before, so I won't get too deep into it, but bottom line is, this movie is just downright amazing. And it truly was the film that brought the MCU well back on its feet after, like, having some missteps here and there, although we still got some great movies in between them. But this was the first time where the MCU started to feel connected again. Not only did the cast of characters great while dealing with some serious issues like with depression, guilt, suicidal thoughts, and loneliness, but we also get to see how they're able to overcome these issues by working together as a team, even if they weren't enthusiastic about it at first, and having to stop Valentina from like taking control of this depressed person who might have powerful superpowers inside of them. But of course, it also has the fun humor that we come to expect from the MCU, and some really solid action with more practical effects than CGI effects, which is more of a bag of fresh air in today's modern movie industry. And it also has a great cast of characters who not only deal with a lot of serious issues, but are also able to come together. Whether it be Elena having to overcome her own, Bob overcoming his internal struggles, or just the rest dealing with their own internal griefs. Yes, sure, some are more fleshed out than others, but it still doesn't change the fact that you still root for them by the end of the film. On top of having one of the best post-credit scenes for an MCU movie, which of course is setting up Avengers Doomsday. So yeah, I absolutely love Thunderbolts. I'm sure many people do. Oh, and speaking of the MCU...
Good grief, it's 4 o'clock.
Well, what do you know? The Fantastic Four First Steps is just right next to Thunderbolts, and I think it's safe to say that the MCU had a great summer. Seriously, that's 2 movies in a row, and that is absolutely just incredible in my opinion. But yeah, I absolutely love the Fantastic Four First Steps, a slight bit more than Thunderbolts, but even though both movies are still amazing. But back onto Fantastic Four, what made this film truly special in my opinion is that they finally got the Fantastic Four right. Not only being set in a 1960s setting, which thankfully meant that there was like nothing you had to watch in preparation for it, but also because like you get to like know these characters right off the bat. They explain everything and you can just get straight into it, but we also get some great character bonding with the characters. The cast was absolutely perfect, especially for our team. The visual effects looked absolutely stunning, especially whenever they go to space. Galactus was a pretty good threat and definitely comic accurate this time, and it was just engaging just to see these superhero family coming together to protect their own child, and they definitely feel like a family, whereas in the other iterations you didn't really care for them, but in here they finally nailed them right. And the fact that we finally got a Fantastic Four film that actually lives up to the word is downright incredible. Well, okay, no pun intended to that movie, but it's amazing how they were able to pull it off so well. And for Marvel's first family finally being part of the Fantastic Four, I'm so happy to say that the movie was definitely fantastic. And yes, that pun was definitely intended.
I don't want to be in a battle. But waiting on the edge of one I can't escape is even worse.
One Battle After Another is such an amazing movie, and another great film from Paul Thomas Anderson. Seriously, I was damn impressed of how great this movie turned out, considering I wasn't that big on Licorice Pizza like a lot of people were. This movie is damn incredible, and definitely worthy of all the award buzz. I mean, the Golden Globes are in a couple weeks, so of course we're going to see this movie might win a few awards. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, obviously Leonardo DiCaprio's performance was incredible in this film. The rest of the performances were great as well, especially the one who plays the villain. I forgot who played him, sorry. It also had me at the edge of my seat. Like, for a movie that's like over like almost 3 hours long, I was never bored once. Okay, I mean, it was dragging like a bit towards the beginning, but like after the first 30 minutes, things start getting going, and I was just so invested throughout the rest of the film. And you definitely do see DiCaprio doing everything he can to like save his daughter, and it was just amazing. And it felt like true to life. Like, and for a movie that's more intense and more serious, it's amazing how they were able to pull it off so freaking well. Then again, I can't expect nothing less from Paul Thomas Anderson. And again, considering I wasn't that enthusiastic about his last feature, I'm so happy that the movie turned out very well, and it's one that people should definitely give a watch. And it's definitely one you should also watch before the award season. Which then again, giving Leonardo DiCaprio's star-studded performance, I wouldn't be surprised if people are. And yeah, let's face it, he's most likely going to be nominated for an Oscar again.
Hear me! I am the great and redeemed Sir Pentious!
Zootopia 2 is hands down the best Disney animated feature to be released since Encanto, and I'm just so happy that I finally got to see another truly great film from Disney once again on the big screen. And it is such a great film. It feels more like an actual continuation of the first movie, where you see like the dynamics between Nick and Judy now, like as actual team members at the ZPD, although even if it can be a bit dysfunctional for them, but still engaging to watch. Also going to like another bold commentary about like how communism can destroy those immigrants in the way, which in this case is like how like the lynxes are like trying to like freeze up the reptile civilization, and it's just downright shocking. While also going more deeper into like Zootopia's beginnings. Not to mention that I'll flat say it, yeah, I'm protecting Gary the Snake at all costs. And yes, that's how his name is pronounced in the feature. He was such a great character, being played by Ke Quan, which I can't believe I didn't realize it, but Short Round is actually voicing a snake in this movie, so that's actually gonna shock Indy for a while. So it had a lot of great jokes that had me laughing. Like I said in my review, this is one of the funniest movies from Disney. The animation's spot on, the voice acting is incredible. Again, the story had me engaged. Oh, and Patrick Warburton's in this. It is downright amazing. Such an amazing feature. And again, I am just so happy that we got a truly great film from Disney again that a lot of people are loving. Well, at least from Disney Animation. Fingers crossed that this is like their sign they're getting back on track. I mean, let's just hope this momentum continues on to next. Then again, if the MCU can make a good comeback with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four this year, here's hoping the same thing can happen with Zootopia 2 and how to move forward. Just fingers crossed, Disney. All signs are on to you right now. But yeah, so Zootopia 2, really fantastic follow-up to one of Disney's best movies.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Yeah, if you know me, I think you probably knew that I love Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and yeah, it still holds up. I still think this is a really phenomenal conclusion to the franchise. Not only are the stakes risen very high when now like the entity's gonna like fire all these missiles that will destroy the whole world, and like even has to like put an end to it before things get any worse. But it also had me at the edge of my seat, had some of the most exhilarating action throughout the whole franchise. It was dark, it was in a lot of places, the casting was all around excellent, and just really, and I was just so engaged throughout the whole thing. I mean, sure, they did a little bit over on like the flashbacks bit like at the beginning, but other than that, it was just such a truly phenomenal feature. And it was, and like and again, like the action scenes were downright impressive. Rather it be like in the submarine, and then of course the biplane fight during the climax, that was just downright insane. It was just freaking incredible, and just a really intense third act. And the way how it wraps up was very satisfying, while also leaving the door open for stuff to come in the future. Yeah, I just don't really have that much else to add other than the fact that this movie was just downright impressive and a truly amazing ending to a 30-year-long franchise. I know some people are a little bit split on this movie, but for me personally, I absolutely loved it, and I consider it a really phenomenal conclusion to the story.
Let all laws be agreed. I'm wicked through and through.
Yeah, I might be the only person who has Wicked for Good break this entire list, but I'm sorry. I really loved this movie. Yeah, I mean, I wish I loved it a slight bit more, and I can understand some criticism that people do have with it. But it's just that for me, this movie did sort of fix a lot of issues I had with the second act of the stage musical by like adding in some more stuff. And on top of that, the film still includes the amazing elements that we loved from the first movie, like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's amazing performances of Glenn Glitter respectively. Please give them their Oscars this time. Academy, you have no reason not to this time. This is the last time they're going to do so. The phenomenal music, the wonderful effects, breathtaking cinematography, and the rest of the performances all coming back to deliver a really strong and fitting finale to this story. And it worked out very, very well in my opinion. And the way how it all wraps up definitely got me cheered up, and it just definitely was such a beautiful ending to the story. Obviously, I talked about this film recently, so I'm not going too much into detail what I've already said, and I don't want to spoil it for too much for those who haven't seen the film yet. Bottom line is, in my opinion, I may be in the minority, but I absolutely adored Wicked for Good. And it definitely is such a strong conclusion to this two-part story. Well done, John M. Chu. I'm so happy you finally were able to give us the full story of Wicked. And it was a smart decision to split them into 2 movies, at least in my opinion.
We figured out who ate the marzipan mascarpone meringue madness, but we still don't know who devoured the other baker's goods.
Well, what do you know? I finally have a Knives Out movie in the top 10 for once. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Wake Up Dead Man really was surprising, and definitely, in my opinion, the best of the 3 movies. Not only because it did things a little bit, it was a bit more darker than the previous 2, but also felt more like an actual sequel film than Glass Onion was. Even though I do also like that movie as well, but an actual follow-up to the film, even if it's only just one bit back in here. But then again, it's a detective movie, so of course there's going to be different suspects in each follow-up. But film's so great, like, is the mystery element, where we learn about, like what do we have to do? Like, who's the suspect in this case? Who's the one responsible for the murder? Which, obviously, that's the case in the other films, but it is one that feels more engaging and a bit darker than the other 2. Sure, it has some humorous moments sprinkled in throughout, but it also has some really dynamic depth with the characters, especially with Daniel Craig and Josh O'Connor's characters, and the mystery element gets more and more engaging as it keeps going, which makes you want to keep watching, and it leads to a pretty intense and gripping third act. And the way it wraps up, like, makes sense. Like, yeah, I mean, sure, like, it is shocking, like, it would end, like, a little bit differently than the previous 2, but even so, I was definitely impressed with how this movie turned out, and it was such a great third installment to this franchise. Well done, Rian Johnson. You were able to make a solid trilogy. So now what we do now is just wait for movie number 4 in 2028.
Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Like with Wicked for Good, I might be the only person who has Avatar: Fire and Ash ranked this high on the list. Well, okay, maybe not the only one, because I do know there might be some other people out there who might do the same thing. I really loved this film, in my opinion, and I was damn impressed with it. And yeah, I saw the movie twice just to make sure, like, this wasn't like a recency bias sort of thing, and it wasn't. Not only was it great to just, like, explore a bit more of Pandora, but we get to see, like, how it's more of a war conflict, and you see the characters, like, dealing with a lot of grief, stress, hate, and guilt throughout the movie, and they have to overcome the stuff, while also delivering some really epic moments in the third act. Phenomenal performances from the cast, from Zoe Saldana, Una Champlin, and Jake Champion as Spider. And of course, the VFX are just downright groundbreaking as it continues once again why James Cameron is the master of IMAX 3D. Seriously, this film just looks beautiful in IMAX 3D, especially like with all the flying scenes and underwater scenes. It's just that damn and incredible. Almost like you're actually like on Pandora with them, which just makes the experience all the more incredible. I already talked about the movie recently in my review, so you can go hear more of my in-depth thoughts there. But bottom line is, I thought this film was damn excellent and another great installment of the franchise, at least in my opinion. I know I might be in the minority here, but I just loved it for what it was. Superman is such an awesome movie, and I'm gonna be honest, this is my pick for my favorite film of the year. Yeah, the number 1 spot is the best, but this is my personal favorite. And honestly, and there's a good reason to see why, because this was like the movie we needed this year. Because not only does it like give us a more hopeful interpretation of Superman once again since Christopher Reeve's version, but it also is a movie about hope, especially during a time that's difficult, and it makes so much sense. Not only was David Cornsworth gave us such a great performance as Superman, which even if Henry Cavill might it's still nostalgic for some people, but it also has a really engaging story that had me invested throughout. Great VFX that was able to make this film be more comic booky than it already was. A lot of exciting action sequences, other great characters as well, whether it be Lois Lane, Mr. Terrific, Crypto, and probably the most hateable version of Lex Luthor to exist, where Nicholas Hoult gave such a phenomenal performance and it just makes you hate this guy throughout the entire movie. Seriously, he got his comeuppance at the end of the film when Crypto finally beat his damn ass. And it's just such an overall phenomenal film, while also having a great message about hope during a time of crisis. And it does make sense given today's political state. Why not have a movie to remind audiences that yes, hope is definitely as powerful that it needs to be in this modern day and age, especially when most people just want to do a lot of hate and self-talk. But that's what it is. So yeah, overall, I just downright love James Gunn's Superman, and I can't wait to see where it goes further in the future. Well done, James Gunn. I'm looking forward to see what the remaining of the universe has in store. And yes, this movie is definitely a punk rocker. it is. Yeah, were you all that surprised? Of course Sinners was gonna be number one. Yeah, I mean, I was going a bit back and forth between which one I loved, which one was a bit more worthy. But after a bit of thinking about it, yeah, Sinners definitely did deserve it a bit more because, well, and to be honest, I did love Superman a slight bit more, like, for on a personal level. In terms of which one, like, wowed me in awe as much as Superman did, I think this one did a little bit more. Ryan Coogler went all out with this movie, and he delivered such a really epic film. Where the first act is more of a more like historical piece, where you just see like these characters like getting together for a band, like bringing them together for a fun night. But then the second act is where things go all crazy, where some vampires come in and they have to survive the night, or else because after like someone like sucks on their blood and kills them, they come back as a resurrected vampire. And the only way for those vampires to be defeated is when the sun pretty much kills them, which spoilers, that pretty much what happened, and it is just insane. The performances from the cast are phenomenal from everyone. Obviously, Michael B. Jordan doing great in these two dual roles, yet also feeling distinct from one another. Seriously, I mean, imagine the amount of time Ryan Coogler had to put into this film when filming the scenes with Michael B. Jordan. Although, then again, they've already been collaborating with each other pretty much since. The remaining performances were great as well. The cinematography was breathtaking. The musical numbers were surprisingly good. I mean, seriously. In fact, I'm with you. I think that's the name of the song. Was such an amazing sequence. That's probably one of the best sequences I've seen in the movie all year, and it was just all around just such a phenomenal feature. I just can't express enough just how great it was, and the climax was just downright outstanding. Like the way how it all wraps up, and the cinematography just went incredible, especially if you watched it in IMAX. Like the aspect ratios would sort from time to time, like going from like the widescreen that you would see like in CinemaScope movies back in the past to like going all full extended like it was in Oppenheimer. It's just that incredible, and I was just it had me in awe, and it's definitely my pick for the #1 best movie of 2025. And that concludes my top 15 favorite films of 2025. Despite 2025 feeling like it went by pretty fast, it still gave us some really awesome moments I'll forever remember. And the movies were definitely no exception, especially with the ones I put on this list. So anyways, comment down below and let me know what your top 15 favorite films of 2025 are. And until then, this is Movie Fan 2002 saying peace and take care and Happy New Year.